Can you wait? I'm not gonna lie. The connection's not. Damn, this sucks. For those of you who can't see what's happening right now, I hope they keep this in. They are frozen, and I lost contact. Which one's the record button?
Brad, you live?
I hope I'm alive.
Well,
can we put that?
we're gonna leave it in. That's the cold open right there.
Oh no. Okay.
All right, welcome back to the Packie Run podcast. I am your host, Dan Mayotte.
I am your host, AJ Lagambina, or as Siri likes to call me, Aj Lagambina.
Before we get into this episode and we introduce our very special guest, just to some housekeeping things. Oh, did we lose Brad?
I hope not. Oh no, it's all right. He knows where to find us. Go ahead. We'll keep the audio.
You can still find all the resources on both of our social media, Packie Run Pod on both Instagram and Twitter to help donate to ACLU, the bailout funds for Nashville, Boston, and Brooklyn in particular. Those are some of the funds that we live in Nashville and Brooklyn, and we're both from Boston, so let's help support that, as well as some of our favorite bands are doing our favorite some bailouts as well, and having their funds and selling merch for it. Like a Lost for Words are selling a shirt. The World is selling a shirt at the moment. Certsay is doing a t-shirt as well. So definitely be on the lookout and buy those things if you have extra money and donate money in need.
Keep the fight alive, and let's keep fighting for systemic change, as we name the episode. So with that out of the way, guys, we have a very special guest, one of our oldest friends at this point. I like to call him Morty, which I've never been quite sure whether or not that's Marty or Morty. You can we'll leave it to the listeners to figure it out. Brad, how you doing?
That is in fact It's Marty. It's Marty.
And now I know.
I am doing so good, and I want to preface this by saying I will be your new host from here on out. AJ and Dan are officially fired, and this is the Brad podcast.
So we have officially sold it to Brad.
$3. Can you imagine?
Yeah, we sold.
Of all the prices,
guys, we sold out. We're selling out.
We
already.
did it.
It doesn't matter what the price is. You sold out because you sold.
Yeah, that is by definition, that is true. We sold out. We're done. We made our money. We actually lost money on this endeavor, but we're looking forward to see Brad build an empire and
profiting. I'm going to build an empire with the $1 I made in profit from this exchange.
Perfect.
Yeah.
This is all we've ever wanted. I'm so glad we sold out.
To preface, in all seriousness, I am very honored that you guys asked me to be on this show, because I thought, what better way to share some stories that I'm sure some people would love to hear than the three of us on the same podcast. These two guys are probably some of my closest college friends, and they will be forever. So thank you guys for having me.
We're very honored.
And I love you two very much.
Of course.
And now I'm ready to get drunk, so let's go.
Hooray.
Yeah, that's all we do on this show.
we bullshit and we drink. So on that note, I guess I'll start. I'm down here in Nashville, as is Brad, although he just got back from Long Island, which I'm sure we'll get into. But it's hot, it's humid, and Sam Adams has released their summer variety packs. So I'm sitting here.
Oh boy.
Yeah, I'm sitting here sipping on a Sam Summer Ale, kind of lemony, citrusy wheat beer. It's not my favorite, but it just seems appropriate.
You see, I'm doing the exact opposite of that, because I went to the liquor store today, and even though I have all this money from unemployment, I still am a boy on a budget, and I saw this Sam Adams Cold Snap in the discount bin, 12-pack.
I dare anybody listening to try to snap their fingers when it's cold. It's nearly impossible.
But for a 12-pack, it was like $6, and it tastes like Christmas.
I mean,
not appropriate for the time, but like it's good. It's a yummy beer.
it's a juxtaposition.
All right, drum roll, please. What are you drinking, Brad?
To no one's surprise, in a Guinness glass, I am drinking Montauk Brewing Company Watermelon Session Ale.
What?
I thought it was going to be whiskey.
Yeah, both of us. I swear to God, both of us were sitting there like, it's going to be whiskey.
I'm a man of surprises. What can I say? Okay, well, I just got back from Long Island.
Okay.
I saw this and I had to get it. This is like one of my favorite beers of all time. And you can't get it in Nashville.
It's brewed in Long Island?
It's brewed in Montauk, and it's only like sold in the tri-state area, I'm pretty sure. So I brought a pack back and I'm loving it. But if I wasn't drinking this, you guys are right. I would be drinking Lagavulin right now.
That's your whiskey of choice?
He's a man of class.
Yeah, that's my drink of choice when I have enough money to buy it. Because it is not cheap, but it is so good. It is so good. I love anything that's smoky, and that whole experience of drinking it is just like liquid smoke. I love it.
I wish that I could still drink it, but you were there. You were there the night. You were there the night that whiskey was ruined forever for me.
I remember,
and I'm sure we'll get to that at some point.
Whiskey should be ruined for me, but this quarantine, I've bought at least probably like 3 bottles of whiskey.
Dan is a stronger man than I am. It's just the way it is. So I think the fact that we've already gotten this far into our conversation is kind of indicative of, one, what our friendship is, and two, how the rest of this show is going to go. So for the people at home, Brad, tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us how you came into our orbit, what you do now, what you want to do. Give us a little bit of a bio. I'm putting you on the spot.
March 28th, 1996.
Jesus Christ.
No, all right, fine. I'll go forward a little bit. So I knew I wanted to do something in music since high school. I'm a trombone player by nature. That's what I do. That's how I think musically. And even with what I do now, that's just, everything revolves around that leniency of playing a trombone. So I hated performing. I absolutely hated performing, but I wanted to do something with music and I didn't know what to do. And in high school, I discovered that we had this class that it was a music theory class, but it more so taught like music production using digital audio workstations and also music theory along with that. So we would get an assignment that would be like, here's this chord progression. This is why it works. Go into Logic Pro, which is a digital audio workstation, and make a song using it. And then we get graded on how well we implemented what we learned. So that's when I realized, oh, this is music related and I don't have to play trombone to do it. And then I kind of heard this term mixing thrown around and I did my research. And ever since then, I have not stopped researching. I have seriously, like, since the day I found out what mixing was, I've only been looking up more things to learn about it. And then
I learned down the rabbit hole.
Yeah, the rabbit hole. Exactly. And so we're here now. I'm in Nashville pursuing the dream of being a mixing and a mastering engineer. But it's just so rewarding feeling yourself learn. And music is one of those things. There's one day where you realize you're just a little bit better than you were the week you were trying something before. And that's so rewarding. And that's kind of like what I love. I love the chase of knowledge and the rewarding feeling you get when you realize you reached a part in your life that you dreamed about a few years ago. And I feel like music and mixing and mastering is kind of like the perfect catalyst for that in my life.
I love that description. That's one of the big... So we, Brad and I have worked together pretty extensively with our friend Ken, who was on the podcast a couple of episodes ago, working with his Psychic of Orange project, where I have done the vast majority of the mixing for that project. Brad has done most of the mastering, and even just speaking on that project itself, that like hitting those benchmarks where something is released, and now we're at the point where he's gearing up to release his second album and he's already talking about what other projects he wants to work on. He and I have a couple of different things in the works. So you have those releases, and then you can kind of look back on those releases after a little bit of time and you can kind of see the progression both in like the artist and their songwriting, but also in your skills as, in my case, like a mix engineer. Like you can see like, oh, I was getting better and better. I was trying these different things, these different techniques. Brad was trying these different ways to kind of like polish up what I had done and whatever else. And I think that's the big kind of draw from the engineering side, is having those benchmarks and then being able to look back and be like, wow, like you can literally see me getting better each time something is, put out.
Yeah, and I think working with Ken's stuff has been so rewarding for me because it has been an opportunity for me to learn and to get better at what I do, but it's also just being a part of a project where everybody is so into it and just so about what is happening is kind of rare. Because sometimes you have a band that is so into their music, and they should be, they are, but having a mixing engineer and a mastering engineer and producers who are also so excited about something that's being done and they're all working on it, that you feel that in the end product. That's 100% just there.
Exactly.
You definitely feel like, I mean, I have a different perspective in the industry as far as like PR and management and like artist development goes. You definitely feel that in certain band songs, how much they have put into it. I mean, like, I have worked songs where the artist, you can tell, didn't put that much time and energy into the song or thought. And then there are some that, like, I was like, oh, wow, this is a band that's actually going to make it because they're doing all the right things. And the manager's feeling it, the, like, producers are feeling it. Like, you can tell, like, how excited they are. That is something nice about, like, Psychic of Orange, for sure.
I'm trying to think of something really interesting that I've done for one of the masters that would just be like something, an example of something that you learn from doing it.
I think I can kind of give one of my examples and help you. Like,
yeah, I was gonna
bit.
ask you if you had something that was in line with that.
Yeah, I had like. For me, one of the big things, especially with the first Psychic album, Water, one of the big things that I almost used it as a crutch a little bit while I was working on mixing was by the time I had all the different songs, I kind of, so much of what Ken does with that project is outside of my kind of traditional wheelhouse. Like, my background is pop punk and hardcore and like straight up just like guitar driven live drum rock music, and you can hear that on everything that I've worked on with Psychic, because I'm always kind of like replacing drum parts and stuff like that and trying to add a little bit more life, a little bit more of like a humanity to what he initially sends me. So I'm always kind of coming at it from that angle. But during Water, I was always kind of going and finding reference tracks. And what I would do was, listen to the song in like a bare bones way with all the faders kind of down and just get like a basic like level, okay, here's where something should kind of sit in relation to something else. And then I would listen to the song itself and go, well, what is Ken trying to portray here? What is the sound he's going for? Because there's so many different influences on Psychic of Orange, I would sit there and try and find, okay, what's the closest analog, and then go find that track. And a lot of times I would literally put it in the session.
Yeah,
so that I could
touching
listen
on,
to that.
Sorry, you're touching on something before I forget. I notice that I personally become less of a musician and a mixing and mastering engineer when I stop listening to music. When I stop listening to things and I stop finding things and I stop exploring Spotify or wherever I'm finding all this stuff that I love to listen to, that's when I kind of plateau. And I've noticed that before. And I think it's important, like what you're saying is exactly that. It pushes you, and then you have a reference in the future for something you've experienced in the past. And the less you listen, you don't have as much of a reference anymore.
Yeah, so for me, it was always finding those, especially with that first album, it was finding reference tracks and being like, okay, this is the sound that this song is kind of going for. So what's a good analog in something that's already released? And I can use that as a reference point. So like, where do the vocals sit? Where is the guitar supposed to be? How loud should I have these drum sounds or whatever else? That was one of the big learns from that. And you can hear it, and I won't reveal what all of the reference tracks are and stuff. But for instance, Ken's latest single, Headphones, for the new album. It's his first real, like, there's big crunchy guitars. We keep saying, oh, Weezer, because it has a lot of that vibe. But in reality, I actually had the song Thanks for the Memories by Fall Out Boy in that session. And I was using that as a reference for, okay, there's big, loud, bombastic guitars in that track. Where should the vocals be in relation to those? And that's how I went about mixing that track.
I mean, I think something, because like I don't know anything about sound engineering. Like that's not my forte.
But as a third party listener, it is so important that you have input.
Well, like I've delved into that, but as somebody who dives into the PR and the playlisting and management and that kind of stuff, like this is a point that you touched on that I really agree with, because you have to keep listening to things on Spotify for a reference. So like when I'm working a new pop song, I'm trying to find something as like a reference to that song. Like this sounds closely to like the new Harry Styles or something like that. Pitching to publications or to things that would also play that or feature that. We're PR is kind of like works in like the same mysterious ways as
it's all in the background, and it really matters.
Yeah, it all matters at the end of the day.
That's
Exactly.
the weirdest thing about any creative field, or like especially in music, because you have when people think of a song, they're gonna have an image of the artist with the song in their head, and
Absolutely.
this is why I do what I do. It's the fact that I don't care that people might not even know my name if I worked on something, but I am responsible for the memories they have attached to that song because I was in the process of releasing it and making it sound the way it does. That's ingrained in their memory.
And also like if, for example, like there are some parts of a pop song or like a punk song or any type of song that can one little like suggestion from like a producer or an engineer, like, oh, you should really like change the like how you phrase this chorus, or like how you like the beat of like certain things like the chorus or something like that. It can really make a difference from like a hit to just a regular old song on the album.
Yeah,
it's like those little things that can really make a song, like the whoa-ohs or like the those little nicks and crannies. You never know.
I forget what I was going to say beforehand, but just touching on what Dan touched on, it's also something that we talked about when we had Ken on the podcast. Was I think you're entirely right. It is those little things. It's like the committee around the artist. Like I feel like a lot of the times the artists themselves, especially when they are actually writing and a lot of times recording their own material, they're a little bit too close to it. Like that's their baby, and it makes it really hard to have like an objective ear on it or something. So to then be able to like pass it on to the next person that you kind of trust with that, to make those changes, to make the edits, to kind of help glue the puzzle pieces together, like that's probably one of the more important parts. And it's one of the really cool parts about having worked with Ken is I now play on 6 or 7 of his songs where there's been parts or there's been moments in a song or something where I've gone, this maybe needs a little bit of something, or maybe I'll cut this part out and add something in. Or even like I was saying earlier, where there are those parts where I will just go and blatantly, he's using a lot of samples for a lot of his percussion, right? So he'll have like an 808 kick and snare, and he'll send that to me just as the samples that they are. And I'll sit there and go, that gives me the reference. I understand where you're trying to go and what you're trying to get there. But like, what if we mixed a little bit of that 808 snare with like a live snare sample and kind of played off the two of those things? Now that's not a sound that everybody's heard over and over and over again. And you have something a little bit different that's also, it's familiar and it's where you were trying to go, but it's not, just boxed.
That is a very fun thing that you're talking about, and it's a very subtle thing too, because that's like the whole shtick about 80s music, right? It's everybody knows the sound of the 80s. They can hear the DX7 keyboard sounds, they can hear the 808s, the Linn drums, all that stuff. And because people are so familiar with that, you could subconsciously manipulate a person's nostalgia by blending that stuff in with other sounds, and all of a sudden they're like, wait, I kind of recognize this, but I don't don't know why.
Well, especially when you take two of those things that are like hallmarks and then twist them together a little bit. So the best example for me would be on his song For You off of Water. That song for
I love that
90%
song
of the
so
song,
much.
Good song.
honestly, like it's a hit. It's so good. But the snare sound in that song is the original sample, which I believe is a 909 that he originally sent me, and then I added a sample of a DW like wood snare with some damping on it. And I kept the 909 basically the way that it was, but mixed it with the DW snare, and I added a gated reverb, which is that reverb that comes in but immediately cuts off. Like every 80s song that has a snare drum has that sound. So you had that very hip-hoppy kind of cutting high-end snare mixed with that big mid-rangey, just girthy, sound of a snare drum from the 80s, and you blend the two of them together, and there's one part in the song where the gated snare sample cuts out, and you can hear kind of the two of them. You can hear what was underneath that big gated snare.
Yeah,
those kind of,
that's cool.
It's those little kind of things that make the song that a normal listener might not even hear.
You just reminded me of this thing that I always say. It makes me chuckle because it's just so stupid. But when I'm working on a song, and if I really, because a lot of the music that I make is very 80s centric. That's kind of like my thing. I like to twist modern sounds with sounds of the past. But my joke is, if that snare drum does not sound like a gunshot, I don't want it.
It in so many of those songs, it just drives it. Like that is the driving factor. It's that thing that makes you feel that way. And I mean, the dude from Fun that went off on his own, I forget his name, Jack Antonoff, Carly Rae Jepsen, like even like big names from the present day are using those kind of things, and that's why they have such like massive crossover appeal. They're using those elements from the past.
I think everyone in general, like when I hear like those like a lot of those like 80s inspired electronic music, I think of like the old movies that you would think of. Like you would think of like Ferris Bueller's Day Off. You would think of like what's that fucking movie with the Breakfast Club, like all those like awesome. Yeah, like I think of that. Like that is like the classic 80s song. And you hear that song everywhere, and like I'm just like, wow, like I just think 80s. And I think with a lot of vaporwave, that's the genre I'm thinking of. Like I think a lot of 80s inspired. Would you say, and I guess I will transition into your music with this question.
Oh boy.
Would you classify your music as vaporwave or more 80s inspired, like electronic? Or what would you what would you classify it for the listeners at home?
I would not classify my music as vaporwave because I do not sample. And vaporwave is heavily sampled music that is pitched or sped up and down. And then you kind of mainly use samples to get the sound you want. And there are some times where I hear vape. Okay, funny story. And we'll talk about my music now because this perfectly transitions. So I came out with my song recently, my latest single, Leave Your Love Behind. And I wanted to make, this is the thing I like to do. I did this for my last album too, Forever Prom, or my last EP. I like to make 3 trailers, and each trailer is a visual that shows a little bit of the album art. And I take the audio that's on the whatever medium, like if it's an EP or an LP, I'll take the audio from that and manipulate it differently for each trailer. So for Forever Prom, I think for Forever Prom, I just like took samples of the songs themselves. But for this one and for the music video for one of my other songs, I took the actual audio and changed it so that it was like alluding to what it would sound like when it's done, but not the whole product. So with Leave Your Love Behind, I made a vaporwave version. And that's the point, is I experimented with vaporwave a little bit, and all I did was just slow it down, but it sounded, I found myself sitting there going like, oh, this slaps. Like you're just slowly rocking back and forth because all of a sudden the rhythm changes changes, everything gets so crunchy and distorted from the artifacts, the digital artifacts when you slow stuff down. It's such a cool genre. But I wouldn't consider my music vaporwave. I just don't sample. And I think you could argue that some parts of it might sound vaporwave, but I think that's because people are associating the overall sound of vaporwave with some of the sonic choices that I make, but I wouldn't consider them the same. I'd say I'm more like 80s pop or like revived 80s pop or 80s inspired electronic music.
Yeah, I mean, like, I can definitely agree with that. I can see, like, I've doing some of the work that I've done, like, I've seen and like heard a lot of vaporwave, and I'm like, oh, this kind of sounds like Brad, but it's not quite like you.
Yeah,
in a way, like I'm like, there's something missing with all these vaporwave artists that, like, Brad's not quite like fit into like that box.
And that's I don't know if I would love to give a shot at vaporwave. I think it'd be really, really fun. I'm gonna do an ambient album soon. That's the next project that I'm working on as far as like crossing genres goes. But vaporwave is so, I think you need a certain mindset for it, and I don't think I have it yet. I think I'm so focused on my creative.
What mindset do you think you need?
I think you need it's the sampling mindset. I don't have an ear for what would sound good if you manipulated it in a song. Like if I can't look at a whole song and hear a portion that you could take out of it and make a loop from. I can't do that. Not yet, at least. I haven't tried it that much. But my creative process doesn't really support a vaporwave sound either, because the first thing I do is load up a synth and find a chord progression. And now from
we've seen you work with that.
That's true. And from that alone, I've boxed myself into a sonic footprint, and I don't know if I could personally find a sample that would fit that, because I hear everything in my head already and I already know where I'm going to go. But that would be a super fun project to do. I think I'd love to work with Psychic on that. We could do a vaporwave crossover album.
That would be sick. And get Keep You on there too.
Oh, dude. That's the thing is you cannot you have to dude, you should do it. That's the thing is you need to keep an open mind about this stuff. I would never say that vaporwave is a bad genre. I would never say that I don't have a vaporwave mindset because
not.
Blah blah blah. You know,
it's a good genre.
And that, again, back to listening to everything. You have to keep your mind open and you have to try things, because that you do not learn unless you delve into those things.
Man,
well, AJ, would Keep You want to do a vaporwave album? Let's get this on the record right now.
Listen, Keep You's up for anything. Ken.
All right.
So Ken was originally supposed to make a remix of the one original Keep You song that's out right now. And for those at home that don't know, Keep You is my quote unquote band.
And if you haven't listened, you absolutely have to.
Well, for you folks at home, our opening song is Keep You.
It slaps.
My song Orchard Circle. I appreciate the love.
We love you, AJ.
Oh, thanks, guys.
Well, Dan said it. I didn't say that.
Yeah, Brad fucking hates you. Brad wishes you were dead.
Yeah.
I don't, though. I love you.
No, I put together I had a demo. It was basically just like a guitar loop that I recorded when I was still in high school. That was just a quick little arpeggiated like chord thing. And late last year, I released it. Late last year. I kind of fleshed the whole thing out, and I added some more guitars and programmed some drums and everything else, and released it under this name. And I've got a couple of other things in the works. I've actually got like 30 or 40 demos that are in various stages that I'm trying to work on. So Keep You is like I said, my band. That's kind of, it's a thing, but it's not really a thing.
It's a thing.
But yeah, I'll do anything. And what I was gonna say is, Ken actually, for his episode, he did a remix of Orchard Circle that he added some vocals on because it's an instrumental song. Ken did like a remix, and it is almost like it's vaporwave-ish. He basically I sent him the stems for the song, and he basically took all those tracks and kind of manipulated them in ways that I didn't even think of, and added some vocals and stuff. So we've decided that that's actually going to be a single at some point, and we're going to work further on that and put it out eventually. But I guess all that's to say that, like, yeah, we're already kind of halfway there.
That would be so. We should
We're-
like a triple crossover vaporwave album. That'd be so fun, and it'd be so easy with modern technology to work on that. We all use Logic. We all use the same program.
That's true. We could very easily make this a thing. And it's all thanks to the Packie Run pod.
Can't believe we just witnessed a collaboration between 3 different artists working on.
Tuesday,
Let's make this an EP.
June 9th at 8:38 p.m. This became a real thing. Although you guys won't be hearing this until Thursday. But hey, that is what it is.
I mean, yeah, true.
So a little bit more about let's talk a little bit more about Brad's kind of musical journey as I think we've covered all we really need to cover about the engineering kind of side of things. Brad has his own music out. It's readily available on all your streaming platforms and stuff. So Brad has three releases, I believe. His first LP is called Distance. His EP, the second release, is called Forever Prom, and he has a single out as of a couple of weeks ago called Leave Your Love Behind, all 3 of which fantastic releases. We're really, I think us on the Packie Run pod all kind of love those things. And now that you're back, Brad, you can kind of talk us through your musical journey.
So in high school, again, this is probably, it was the year I met you guys at college, which we should still talk about, by the way, because we got some stories. So before freshman year, senior year of high school, I heard about CD Baby, and I realized that you could just release music on Spotify and you could just put it out there and you can make money on iTunes. Not that I did make money, but it was appealing when I learned about it. So I was like, you know what? I have experience just making stuff. Let me just make some songs and put them out there. So I made the album Distance, and I will not take it down from Spotify. I've thought about it before, but it is such a moment in my journey, and I'm sure I'll look back on it later on and be happy that it's accessible on Spotify like that, because it sounds like me musically. Like you could take the ideas and put them on any other instrument and it sounds like me. But I was in high school. It's not mixed very well. It's not mastered in any sense. It's just like me putting ideas out there into the world in the way that I wanted to do it. And then that's kind of what that was. And then in college, I released Forever Prom, which started out as these 2 songs that I just had lying around. And that's when I started to get into the 80s kind of retro vibe, I guess you could say. So I had these 2 songs and I was like, I should just make an EP. I have these 2 songs. They sound pretty good. I can make some other songs that sound cohesive. And again, it wasn't totally mixed. It was better than Distance. And it's a really good time on my timeline. It's a good like mark on my timeline that shows where my mixing and my mastering capabilities were at that time and my production skills and all this stuff. And 2 of those songs got picked up for this snowboarding movie called Arcadia for Transworld Snowboarding Magazine, which was so wild. I didn't reach out to anybody. I just got an email one day that he went on Bandcamp. This guy went on Bandcamp and he was like, oh, I really like these songs. Can I use them for the intro and the outro to this full-length film? And I was kind of like, well, I'm not going to say no. So I was like, why are you asking me? But yeah, that was crazy to me. And if you look at my Spotify stats, all of my listeners, 80% of them are from Sweden because of that movie. And I think that is so cool. I think that is so cool that like the reach that you can have like that is so interesting to me. And I was kind of silent. I went radio silent, no pun intended, for a short while releasing music. And I decided it was time to just put something out there. And I'm learning a lot about lyric writing, a lot about production. And I wanted to put all my skills to the test and make something that would make another mark on my timeline. Something that I could look back on and be like, yeah, this sounds like more like what I want to sound like. So I came out with Leave Your Love Behind, and I'm not afraid to say it. I'm in love with that song, and it's not because it's mine. If I heard that song, if somebody else released that song, I would absolutely love that song. It's everything that I want a song to be. And a lot of the time I write music for myself, and that's part of why I love it so much. But that's good. Yeah. And I would say the only thing about it that I would change if I could are the vocals, because I'm not a vocalist, but I'm trying to be better. I'm trying to be a better vocalist. And again, it's a mark on my timeline. And that's what I view it as.
That's true. I mean, like, I know that you're a big Starfucker fan.
Oh, don't even get me started.
But they're not even like vocalists, though. They're like, yeah, they're not.
Yeah, that's true. That's very
like,
true.
It's very basic. Like, you don't need to be a good vocalist. I mean, even like, I remember when you gave me a thumb drive of like Somos and a bunch of other people. Like they're not like the greatest vocalists in the world.
Yeah.
But like they get their point across in a certain manner. It's nice to see the progression because I know in the first LP that you had it wasn't singing, but you did like a poem about distance.
Oh my!
I forget the name of the song, but I know exactly what song it is.
That song is the song "Distance." But in true Brad Tuller fashion, nothing can go without a puzzle or a reference. So,
of course,
exactly.
So if you listen to that song chronologically, the piano melody that plays is every single song on the album, front to back, in order, but it happens in the background.
That's so fucking cool.
And I remember,
like, and I didn't even realize that. Like, and I love that type of shit. Like, I know the band The Hotelier, but for those listeners at home, there's this band called The Hotelier, and they came out with a song, like an album called Home Like No Place There Is. And
Emo Legends.
The beginning of the album is the exact same as like the last chords of the album.
Gotcha.
Like it's like the same type of shit, and I love that type of like
you make a circle. So in that sense of The Hotelier, that's what I call a circle album. That's literally what I call it, because if you listen all the way through, it's gonna go over again. It goes all the way around the clock. And with what Distance was it was more of like a reference to everything else if people could notice it. But I have thought about how I would approach a circle album before if I really made one, and I would have way too much fun with it. I don't know if I should really do that because I don't even know if I could finish it. I get so carried away with ideas, I'd never get it done.
And that's tying it back into...
That's the problem.
Tying it back a little bit into some of the plans that I have for Keep You. Brad is actually the one who sent me this article. We were talking Star Wars because we're nerds.
You fucking nerd. AJ was playing with a lightsaber before we were like on this call. Also,
here it is.
Speaking of those at home,
yeah,
you can hear the sound of my lightsaber that I got at Galaxy's Edge in Disney because I'm that guy. But yeah, so Brad and I were talking Star Wars one day, and he sent me an article about ring theory, and it was about the original trilogy and the prequel trilogy, and I won't get into it. Look it up. It's it's basically like a thesis. It's
nerd shit.
It's big and it's long, and if you want to jump into it, go for it. But that's
Bro, are you into LARPing?
Oh my god.
I listened. I remember we listened last night when we were driving back from Long Island. I listened to that episode, and when AJ realized when that Model UN was like very proper LARPing, I kind of lost my shit. I'm not gonna lie.
That was a big realization for me, sitting on my couch here at home and being like, oh my god, we got college credits for LARPing. What the fuck?
We are verbal LARPers.
I mean, you can relate anything to LARPing, though. Let's be real.
Oh no.
It's very true. It's true.
So the point being that Brad sent me this video on ring theory, which kind of ties into your idea of like circle albums, and that's probably I'm working on like a 3 or 4 song EP right now. And the idea is that the two halves have those rings that are constantly interconnecting. So I think
awesome.
I think it's very on brand for me that I would finally kind of kick my ass into gear and start writing some music and start putting some real ideas together and actually making something that is slowly getting to the point where I could release it. Like, it's very on brand for me that Star Wars would be the catalyst for that. But like it was all kind of spawned from that. It was all kind of spawned from that ring theory thing that Brad sent me.
Nerd.
I hate you so much.
Hey Dan, don't forget who's editing this podcast, okay?
That is true. AJ can totally edit it to make me sound like an idiot. You can also edit it for me to say, like, I, Dan Mayotte, am an idiot.
Well, he wouldn't have to. You just said it.
Now I don't have to.
You just...
Yeah, now you don't have to. Now you could just, like... Now you could just delete everything from my thing.
There are so many options for cold opens here.
I just want to ask one more question, Brad.
Go for it.
Do you find it... or maybe if AJ has any more questions about your music as well. But do you find it difficult creating, recording, mixing, and then like, do you also do the mastering as well with all your music as well?
So for my own stuff, yes. Everything that you hear on all the albums is my recording, production, mixing, mastering, editing, everything. Do you find that difficult? Like, do you feel like you sometimes need like another ear, or do you think sometimes it's like, yeah, I do it to test myself. I do it to test myself. That's why I do it. And again, if I was, my main goal is to be a mixing and a mastering engineer for others. I do the more creative stuff. I also produce for people, which I love doing. I love being in the same room with somebody and just creating something crazy. I love it. But when my focus is being a mixing and a mastering engineer, all of my personal projects, the things that are for myself, are tests, really. They're kind of just things for me to see where I'm at right now in my career and better myself. And it is hard. It is hard it's not exhausting. I wouldn't call it exhausting. I think it's exhilarating looking at the project develop in every stage, but it's hard to be objective. And if I were an artist, I would send it to a mixing engineer and a mastering engineer. If that's what I wanted my career to be. But it's not. My music is a test for myself and for others to enjoy.
You ever find yourself, and I guess this is a follow-up to it, you ever find yourself like maybe using your music as a point of reference, or like sending it to potential bands and being like, look what I can do with my music and like how I can record with my stuff. I can do the same kind of thing for you.
Yeah. So something like that happened recently, actually, where I had to send out, I won't name names.
No, you don't have to.
But there's a pretty famous visual artist who has a big following on Instagram, and she posted something about needing somebody to mix her techno EP. And my first thought was, oh my God, I want to do that. That would be so much fun, and I would learn so much from doing it. So I sent her like 4 things that I've done. They were all different, but they were electronic projects I've worked on. One of them was Leave Your Love Behind.
Okay.
Because it was recent and it was a really good showing of what I'm doing right now sonically. And some others were Psychic of Orange. And I think I included one acoustic thing just to show her that I, had some diversity in there, that she could trust that I do a good job no matter what she sent me. It ended up not working out, which is totally okay, because I think in the end also she didn't quite understand what the mixing process is. I think she was asking for a lot of production things and not mixing things, but I just don't think she quite understood what the difference between them was. And sometimes there is a blurred line, but a lot of the stuff that she asked me about after I sent her my mixes was like production decisions.
Right.
So it ended up not working out, which is totally fine, but I'm glad that I had the courage to send her some stuff, because I didn't even expect her to respond. I was kind of just like, whatever, see what happens. And then when it happens, you're like, okay. So
no, I mean, that's great, dude. I'm happy. I mean, hopefully more stuff ends up working out, or more bands reach out.
Oh yeah, no, I really hope so. All I want to do is work on audio. I just love it. I really love it.
Yeah, dude, like people would love to hear that passion, man. Like that's all people care about, man.
And that's again
important.
Absolutely. To answer your question in a second way, I want people not only to know how I work, but what I sound like, if that makes sense. Because showing somebody what you've done for other people is different than the stuff that you're making. Some people connect really strongly to stuff that you have made, and that's what makes them want to work with you more so than what you've done for other people. So that's why I also include things that I have done, like you said, in when I'm trying to work with somebody. I want them to know some options that we have.
Right, and I mean that's important. Like a heavy metal artist wouldn't necessarily be attracted to working with you, but like you, and I don't know if you've worked heavy metal, obviously, but like I mean I feel like every producer or every engineer has a range and every like what they're interested in. Like Will Yip, for example. Like
yeah.
For those who don't know Will Yip is very famous in the alternative world. He has done albums with Citizen, Title Fight,
Circuit Survive.
Composure, like all the famous like bands, like all those cool bands. he has like that kind of sort of range. And sometimes he steps out of it with like Defeater and Core World.
Will Yip is basically the reason why the three of us are friends. Like that was the big kind of connecting point.
And that's why I do what I do, for the memories.
Yeah.
Full circle.
Yeah.
Another Circle album.
This is a Circle album, guys.
We've created another Circle album on this one podcast.
We're making a Venn diagram, and in the middle is our friendship.
That is very, that's very sweet and also a little weird. What's going on, guys? It's AJ here. We're in the middle of the editing process for this podcast, and I'm realizing that the three of us really we love to talk. We went long on this episode, and in the interest of your ability to actually listen to an episode and just kind of keeping us all on one track and everything else, we've decided that we're going to split this one into 2 episodes. So here's a clip of Brad's single, Leave Your Love Behind. And at some point within the next week, we'll release part 2 of this episode. We had a lot of fun hanging out with our friend Brad. Love being able to talk to him and love being able to hang out and just do what we do. So you'll get even a little bit more of him, either as a second episode next week or maybe as a special episode midweek because we feel like it. So enjoy the song, and we'll get back to you guys within the next few days.